Yeah, thanks, Perpetual. The minutes. Yeah, so we will be having a conversation, like Perpetual has already introduced, about understanding the heart of Teach for Kenya's work. I know most of you probably have attended the webinars that have happened before. We've had two already. The first one was basically trying to understand what Teach for Kenya is. And then we got another webinar, which was kind of a build-up on that. We were able to host some active fellows. We have about 200, over 200 active fellows who are placed in different schools. And we were able to hear from some of them what the work they are doing in the schools is commendable. And today we are going to just be building on that conversation and understand what happens after you leave the fellowship. I think this is a very interesting question to anybody who wants to come to Teach for Kenya, because beyond the 2 years you're going to be with us, you also want to understand what happens once you transition and why alumni is such an important component in the work that we do in Teach for Kenya. So I'm really happy that we are having this conversation to kind of give you what we call the short-term theory of change and also the long-term theory of change. But before that, just maybe for the benefit of those who are not able to join our past two webinars, I just want to build a foundation about who Teach for Kenya is. So we are an NGO registered in Kenya, and we were founded back in 2019 by our founder, who is Yukabeth Kidenda. So that means we've been in existence for the last 6 years. In fact, yesterday we just celebrated 6 years anniversary since Teach for Kenya was formed. So it's such a good thing to have celebrated the milestones, the work we continue to do to impact the work in our communities and in our schools. So exactly what we do is we champion SDG number 4. So SDG number 4 talks about access to quality education. There are about 17 SDGs. Teach for Kenya exists to champion SDG number 4 on quality, access to quality education for all children. Specifically in Kenya, we work with low-income communities. That means you'll find our partner schools spread across 4 counties. That is in Kisumu, in Nairobi, in Machakos, and hopefully next year we are going to be expanding to Wachira. So we have about 67 or so partner schools, government partner schools that we work with in low-income communities to be able to achieve this bold vision. So our vision, as you can see, is that one day every Kenyan child will receive quality education regardless of their socioeconomic background. I think most of you at your various capacity where you are, you know that in Kenya, usually where you are born determines the kind of future you will have, because where you're born will determine the kind of school you go to, the kind of quality of education you receive, and that ultimately decides how your future probably will look like. And so for Teach for Kenya, we believe, regardless of where a Kenyan child is born, they should have a fair shot at the best future that they can get. And we believe that education is at the heart of that endeavor. Our mission is that we want to build a movement of excellent teachers who are committed to championing collective leadership in addressing some of these barriers that exist. So although we recruit multidisciplinary, that means we don't necessarily recruit teachers. We recruit diverse academic background, but we believe that the change first starts in the classroom, because that is where futures are molded. And so we believe we are building a movement of committed leaders who want to continue the conversation around how can we address some of the barriers that we have in our education system in Kenya. So that is, in a nutshell, what Teach for Kenya is all about. And we have a fellow vision. So when we talk about fellow vision, we want to think you to think of yourself as a fellow, and you've already joined the movement in Teach for Kenya. So what do you want to be true for you? Which is that you want to build a movement of excellent teachers who are committed to championing collective leadership. So if you can see, the vision for you as a fellow is actually what is our mission statement, because we believe once you join us, we equip you with all the leadership skill that will be able to help you address or support us in addressing some of these barriers in our school. So that is what Teach for Kenya is all about. And maybe I can mention that Teach for Kenya is not just a Teach for Kenya alone. So we are affiliated with a global organization, which is called Teach for All. That means we are a part of a big network of about 62 countries around the world that are doing the work that we are doing. So that is what Teach for Kenya is all about. So we do have a set of core values that drive the work that we do. You can see them there. We have a sense of possibility, which basically means that you have to believe that things are possible. Things can get difficult, but we believe that we work together so that we can address some of the challenges in our existing in our schools. So we must create solutions that make it possible for those children to be able to address or to be able to achieve the highest possible quality of education that they can get. The next is integrity. It is at the core of what we do. We believe in not just choosing the convenient, we choose the right actions. We uphold the highest integrity and ethical standards possible. Harambe is also a core value. Basically, this means people coming together, joining hands. Harambe is a spirit of togetherness. It's a core value in Teach for Kenya. Continuous learning. We always innovate. We always learn from what other countries are doing. We learn from you people. We believe you guys are also reservoirs of knowledge. Where you come from, you have your own expertise, you have ideas that you can bring that can help move the conversation forward. So we really value continuous learning. And then diversity and inclusion. We treat every individual with dignity and respect, regardless of whatever background you're coming from, whether that be race, gender. We are an equal opportunity organization. We do not discriminate. We want to give everybody a fair chance. And then we are learner-centered. What that means is everything that we do revolves around the learner. Okay, our key focus in Teach for Kenya is that learner in the class. That learner could be anybody, could be your brother, could be your sibling, could be anybody. The work that Teach for Kenya does revolves around learner-centeredness. So that is, those are the core values that drive the work that we do at Teach for Kenya. And maybe you are asking yourself, and I think those who have maybe attended our webinars, you have had a chance to understand what exactly is the problem we're trying to solve in Teach for Kenya. And it will surprise you some of the statistics that we have seen in our research. So for example, if you look at the current education system, you realize that 2 in 10 class 8 learners and 3 in 10 grade 6 learners cannot meet expectation in reading a grade 3 English. Can you imagine that? We have a learner who is in class 8, but if you give them a text that is supposed to be read at grade 3, they cannot be able to read that. Now that is a concerning statistics if you think about quality of education in Kenya, because what that means is that that learner did not go through what we could consider to be quality education. Probably they moved up the grades, but most likely they had challenges in terms of the kind of education that was given to them. Another statistics is that 2 in 5 grade 4 learners could also not read. So those are 2 in grade 5 learners. That's just 2 grades up, but they are not able to read a grade 3 English text. This is a statistics that at Teach for Kenya, we think they're really concerning because they speak to the challenges that our schooling system is really going through. And that report actually is, it's an open report. You are able to view it from USAWA agenda report in Teach for Kenya. So how do we, or what do we propose to be the solution to solve this challenge? Okay, and I know you guys have a lot of ideas of how we can go through this. Some of you might say, can't we change the curriculum? I mean, we have changed that for a long time. Can't we train our teachers a bit better? We have some of the best teachers trained in our universities. So Teach for Kenya has what we call the theory of change, okay? This is like an intervention. These are proposed solutions that we are bringing to complement. And just to mention, we are not competing, or we are not, we are complementing some of the solutions that are happening in our schools. And so if you look at what we do at Teach for Kenya, we have two theories of change. And the first one is what we call the short-term theory of change. This is the beginning for everybody who wants to join Teach for Kenya Fellowship. We call it a short-term theory of change. So what we do is we recruit you fresh from university. You could probably already have left university. Maybe you just in your 2 years after you left university. And so we recruit exceptional leaders who will be able to join Teach for Kenya for a paid fellowship. Okay, so you'll be with us for 2 years. And we will place you in any of the 69 partner schools that we have across the 4 counties. And what you're going to be doing in those 2 years, the first one is we believe you can make the change from the classroom itself. So you will start with what we call classroom leadership. So you will work alongside the system teacher in some of the schools that you'll be working with, understanding the challenges that are happening in those schools, working to come up with solutions to be able to address learning outcomes in those classes. And so for the first 1 year, you probably most likely are going to be working in a classroom setup. And then in the second year, we will be challenging you that now that you have worked in that school, you have understood some of the challenges that are happening, we challenge you to think of a solution in terms of something we call a capstone project. And you'll be shortly be hearing what a capstone project is that can help address some of those challenges. So we believe you can all bring solutions to address at least a challenge or two that you have witnessed in your 2-year fellowship. So that is what we call our short-term theory of change, the 2-year paid fellowship that most of you who are intending to join Teach for Kenya, that is where you're going to start. And you can feel free to engage us on our chat, how this is resonating with you. And then we will be happy to read some of those incredible thoughts you have about how this short-term theory of change aligns with what you think you can also be able to do in our schooling system. But then moving on into what we call the long-term theory of change, and this is going to be the heart of our discussion today, because we are not just concerned about the 2 years you're going to be working with Teach for Kenya in the school. We believe that we will have equipped you in the 2 years of fellowship to become a change maker, okay? So you'll join a group of other alumni who have gone through the program, and we'll expect you that you'll move in whatever field that you have studied. Maybe you're an engineer, maybe you are a medical doctor, maybe you're a political scientist, whatever background you have. What we believe is that 2 years you have worked with us, will have equipped you to be able to continue the conversation of addressing some of these challenges you've witnessed, bringing those conversations at higher level, bringing those conversations in even sectors that don't think they are connected to education. We would expect that as an alumni, you'll be able to bring these conversations into the different sectors that you pursue. And so we are going to be understanding how that happens, because it happens in what we call the pathways in Teach for Kenya, and we'll be sharing what that looks like as we go along. Yeah, so I think we have kind of built what Teach for Kenya basically looks like. That is what we do at Teach for Kenya, and we are going to shortly get into the alumni discussion with our alumni development officer to kind of share with us how they prepare these alumni to be able to move on, to be able to be impactful leaders as they leave the fellowship. And so I want to take this back to Perpetual. so that we can invite Eric to share with us how the alumni department actually works.
That's very well and structured introduction to Teach for Kenya. Thank you so much. And a challenge to our listeners, please tell us in the chat box one thing you picked, a fact that you picked about Teach for Kenya from Anthony's presentation. Tell us something you picked about Teach for Kenya from Anthony's presentation. Let me see that on the chat box. What is something you picked from Anthony's presentation? Also, I'd like to mention that we are live on Facebook. So if you have friends that are unable to join the webinar, please direct them to our live. It's on our page, Teach for Kenya, on Facebook. So join us on Facebook as well if you're not able to join our webinar. So the assignment is still tell us something you've learned about Teach for Kenya from Anthony's presentation. So coming up, we have or just a clarification. An invitation to this webinar is not proof of successful application. For successful applicants, you receive an email from the recruitment department. This is an information session to disseminate information on the alumni process and the alumni journey. However, for a successful application, you will receive an email from the recruitment department at Teach for Kenya. So I'm seeing facts being shared. I'll be reading them. I see one saying TFK is an NGO whose main objective is advancing quality education for all Kenyan children. I'm seeing 2 theories of change. I'm saying that every child deserves education regardless of their social background. Keep them coming. We'll be monitoring. We'll be reading them as well. So I'm also seeing core values, a sense of possibility, anticipation to bring change. We're seeing the mention of SDGs as well. And so I can see you are listening. Very well done. Give yourself flowers as well. I'm seeing diversity and inclusion as core values. Well done. So for this next session, we are going to be hearing from our Alumni Development Officer, Eric Maosa, who will be giving us a brief overview of what the department does and what that looks like as well. So continue putting your answers in the chat box. I'll be looking at them as we welcome Eric. Eric, please take over.
Thank you so much, Perpetual, and thank you so much, Anthony, for giving us an elaborate. If you can hear me and see me, kindly shout out. Okay, thank you so much. So as you have heard, my name is Eric Maosa. I'm the Alumni Development Officer, Teach for Kenya. So as you all understand, alumni is that process after maybe you have been in a project, you've been somewhere, you've been in a school, or you've been engaged in a certain project. So for us in the alumni network, currently we have 64 alumni network. And what is alumni in Teach for Kenya? Alumni in Teach for Kenya is during the 2-year fellowship program, whereby now Anthony recruits, then they go through the 2-year fellowship program. Then during the 2nd year, they're able now to come up with capstone project. Like a month ago in 28, we had a Eagles Den, whereby those innovative projects that they come up with to try and mitigate against the challenges that they meet in the school system to get every child equality. So you find that during the capstone pitching, they do pitch their innovative projects, and these projects, they don't just end at the pitching stage. As the alumni development officer, I try to see that how this project is. Sorry, my camera will go. I try to see that these projects, from the capstone project, from the pitching stage, they're able now to turn this project towards innovative projects that even succeeds them after the fellowship. A very good example, currently as we're speaking, we have over 5 CBOs that have been formed, and these CBOs are in different pathways, which I'll just explain later on. these CBOs, what do they try to address? They try to address the challenges that these children experience in the school system. And we find that this systematic challenge, it can't be addressed by one organization, it can't be addressed by the government, neither can it be addressed by just few people. So this collective leadership that we calculate in these people during the 2-year fellowship, they're now able now to transfer it even beyond the fellowship. In the alumni network, we do have 4 pathways. It will be very interesting if after the fellowship, these people who have gone through the school system, they know what the challenges the kids are facing in the school, they're able now to see, okay, these challenges have been the problem with the school. So if they sit in the policy department, either it can be in the government, it can be in the curriculum development, it can be in any NGO. So one of the pathways that we have is the policy and governance. These people, they are able now to interact one-on-one, unlike whereby you finish school, then you get employed in the policy department in the education sector. So these people are able to interact with the challenges that they are facing in the school system, and they're able now to come up with a policy to address these challenges that they're able to face. So that is one of the alumni pathways that we have. It's called policy and governance. So again, another pathway that we have in the alumni system is social entrepreneurship. What is social entrepreneurship? You find that a good number of the projects during the capstone pitching, they do address the social challenges that the children face in the school. A good example, we have an alumni called Liz Kamau. What did Liz Kamau come up with? Liz Kamau was able to see that there's period challenges in the school, and a number of schools going children miss schools because of the period challenge. So Liz Kamau was able to sit down, and during the capstone project, she was able to pitch whereby now she does the sanitary pads, the reusable sanitary pads, and she's able now to distribute to a number of children to the schools where she was based in Kuru. So you find that even after the capstone project, Liz has been able to partner with other like-minded NGOs, whereby now they've been able, as between January and this time after the fellowship, she's been able to distribute over 2,500 reusable sanitary pads. So you find that this capstone project, it was able to address the challenge that she was seeing in the school, and she came up with a project which even went beyond the fellowship channel. So that's one of the pathways that we have. It's called social entrepreneurship. The third pathway that we have is school systems. What is school system? School system is whereby you find that when these people are joining the leadership journey in the fellowship, some of them not even, okay, they've even done maybe TSC, they have TSC numbers, but then they were not interested really in teaching. They were interested, okay, let me finish the school, then I can start maybe join another organization, maybe work somewhere. But now, during the journey, that the fellowship journey, the 2-year fellowship journey, something maybe ignites them that they feel, okay, I think I belong in the school. And as we are speaking now, out of the 64 alumni that we have, over 30% of them have gone back to the school system to continue impacting the children and what they've now, even now, it's interesting because now even the capital projects that they used to do in those schools, some of them have been retained in those schools and are able now to continue with those innovative capital projects that try to address the inequality in education in the children. The last pathway that we have in the alumni is the private sector and multinational. Some of them have been able to join the banks. Two of them have been able to join the multinational banks. And from these, they're still able now to, whatever they were doing during the capital project, they're still able now to continue and even impacting more using now the position that they do hold in the private sector. And these, they're able now to still come back to the society where they were working and be able now to give back. Like a good example, last year when there was floods in Kenya, a good number of the alumni came together and so, okay, what can we do for the school-going children so that at least we try to mitigate the challenges? Because as you know, we do work in the not so good environment whereby there's semi-urban place, I can call them underdeveloped places, and these are public schools. So you find that these people were very much affected. And so the alumni network was able to come back together and see, okay, let's do a pulse drive for these people so that we can distribute textbook, we can distribute pens, we can distribute some things that these people need, so as to continue, the children continue going, because we find that most of their things were flooded away. So currently in the alumni network, we do have our mission, which I'll really like to read for you. For alumni network, we have our own mission, and our mission is to build leadership force. We want to build a leadership force that actively expands access to quality education for all by championing education equity. This, as you know, is different from the mission that you know. But now, as the mission reads, we are building a leadership force. A force, a force is something that even gone beyond the boundaries to other places. So that is our mission in the alumni network, and our vision is to create a platform that inspires all Teach for Kenya alumni to engage in impactful leadership and career opportunities that promote education equality. So after the projects, after the fellowship, these fellows are now transitioned to alumni. What is the condition for you to be an alumni for Teach for Kenya? First of all, you have to finish the fellowship, which is a 2-year fellowship project, 2-year fellowship journey. You have to finish the fellowship and you have to graduate. And again, the next thing is that you have to come up with a capstone project during the 2nd year of your fellowship. The capstone project is now what you'll continue with even after the alumni process. So up to there, I'll really like, maybe in case you have questions or you have answers, you can just note them down, then you can ask. Thank you so much, and back to you, Perpetual.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for that amazing session. I hope we've all learned a lot about the alumni. Let's give Melissa his flowers. If you have questions for Melissa, please put them in the chat box as well. Thank you. I see a love heart and seeing clapping, flowers. Thank you so much. I'm also seeing the comment section. Mole from Siaya, you're enjoying the class. Seeing Fidel from Nairobi is enjoying the session. I'm seeing Roy Charles talking about how it's all about creative thinking. And this is true. At Teach for Kenya, you have a lot of room for creativity within the classroom and even during alumni once you've graduated from the class. I'm seeing Jerop from Wasingishu also enjoying the class. Thank you so much. Continue putting your questions in the chat box. We'll have a Q&A session towards the end where we'll tackle a lot of your questions. Also, Calvin says is on the chat box addressing some of your questions as well. So feel free to tag him with these questions as well. But thank you so much for listening, for the flowers. And so for the next session, we're going to be meeting the MVPs of today, our alumni, Dennis, Muendo, and Sharon Kambe. These are people who applied for a fellowship. They went through the entirety of the recruitment, selection, matriculation. They joined the program. They went into the classroom and they graduated. And now they are part of our alumni network. I'll start by introducing them so that they can tell us who they are, what they're doing. And then we'll have a short but quite engaging session with them to tell us more about the journey of alumni. So Dennis and Sharon, I'll start with Dennis. Dennis, please introduce yourself, and then Sharon will follow after. Dennis, Muendo, if you're speaking, we cannot hear you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dennis Muendo, a Teach for Kenya alumnus. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Dennis, we can hear you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Dennis Muendo, a Teach for Kenya alumnus. I'm a teacher at Voluntary Academy. And welcome to this session. I'm going to be your speaker today about the alumni journey. Thank you.
Sharon, over to you.
Hello, Perpetual. Thank you for bringing us on board. Hello, everyone. My name is Sharon Lambe. I'm a proud alumnus of Teach for Kenya, and I'm excited to meet all of you and to tell you the benefits of being part of Teach for Kenya. Welcome, and I can't wait to hear and learn from you.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you so much, Dennis. So before we proceed to the panel discussion, I'd like to highlight that we do not have our WhatsApp group. I'm seeing people in the chat box dropping their numbers. We do not have a WhatsApp group. If you need information on Teach for Kenya, follow us on our socials. We are on Instagram, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Facebook, and also you can use our recruitment email for any questions that you may have. However, we do not have a WhatsApp group. There is no need to leave your number on the chat box. But you can reach out through I have seen someone asking about our socials on Facebook. We are on TikTok. We are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn. Now we're going to start with the panel discussion. So today we'll be asking a few questions of the alumni so they can tell us more about their experience. How has it been transitioning from fellow to alumni? What are the opportunities? How are their projects doing? What are they currently doing, right? And so I'm going to just start us off by asking, maybe Sharon, what would you say is the role you play as alumni at Teach for Kenya, right? So you've been a fellow and you graduated and now you're alumni. So now as an alumni, what role do you feel that you play at Teach for Kenya?
Thank you so much, Perpetual, once again. A Teach for Kenya alumni is a change maker who has completed the 2-year fellowship, and they continue driving impact in education and society. So they embody leadership beyond the classroom, because during the 2-year fellowship, you're in the classroom, you're working within the school's administration, doing your projects. But now as an alumni, you have the chance to go beyond, to improve your leadership skills and to increase your impact, influencing systems, advocating for equity, and building sustainable solutions. So as I can say, my role is to carry forward the mission of ending education inequity by using the skills, the networks, and the values that I've developed during the fellowship to serve broader communities. So while I was in one school and serving maybe the partner schools in Teach for Kenya, now I'm able to continue my impact, go back to my county, or continue here in Nairobi. As in, there are no boundaries really of just where you can reach. It's just where you want to go. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you so much, Sharon, for that. Dennis, I'm going to start off with a new question. How would you describe your alumni journey? How has it been since you've joined the alumni space?
So thank you, Professor, for giving me this opportunity. So after my fellowship journey at TFK, the transition into alumni felt like stepping into a world of a broader world of impact and leadership. During the fellowship, I was mainly focused on classroom instruction and my capstone project. As alumnus, I realized that my influence can just be outside the classroom and even affect the entire community and the education ecosystem. And this involves networking and positioning myself for leadership opportunities, both within and outside the classroom. As alumnus, I am exposed to incredible opportunities. One of them is networking with the internationally, and also gaining leadership skills all over the world. Another one is capstone. I have a chance to share my capstone project and even teach it to able supporters who can support me in my capstone project. I also have an opportunity for career support through programs guiding me, aligning me with my pathways, both long-term and short-term. and also becoming a transformational leader in the education sector. Also, I have a chance to develop myself professionally through inclusive education that Teach for Kenya Alumni offers. Also, I have a chance to engage in alumni activities like team building that helps me create bonds with fellow alumni and even collaborate more and share learning more. Also, Teach for All gives me an opportunity to interact with their platforms and participate in their leadership programs. I am also exposed to opportunities like open doors, different sectors, and entrepreneurial works. For example, how has my journey shaped me throughout this? My chosen pathway in education and leadership has shaped me a huge role in my alumni journey. After completing fellowship, I knew I wanted to work in ideas that not only support my learners, but also reimagine how education would be like for all children. One of the highlights of my journey was my capstone project, that is creative imagination, that helps learners to critically think and solve problems for themselves and think beyond the classroom. It helped learners vision actually transform young leaders' creativity across the community. Since my project, I have continued to implement creative learning activities in my classroom, integrating art, storytelling, and critical thinking skills exercise with the help of other alumni and educators to find ways to expand my project to reach even and impact more students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dennis, for that. As you can hear, the pathways are coming in quite a lot. You can also hear that it's quite a creative space. Our alumni are allowed to kind of be creative, come up with their own ideas, choose their projects with the support of Teach for Kenya, right? And I'd like to pose a question to our listeners. Which pathway resonates most with you? Eric has shared 4 pathways, and so has Dennis. Dennis has spoken about his chosen pathway. Tell us which one most resonates with you and your work. Put that in the chat box and be looking into it. So for the next question, it will be for Sharon. Please talk to us about your chosen pathway. Which pathway did you choose? How has that journey been? How is your project doing now? Right? And all the details about, we want to hear all of it about your capstone project.
Thank you so much, Professor. I can't wait to hear the kinds of pathways that our audiences are going to choose. Basically, I'm an innovator, so I tend to do a lot of things, but I can say my chosen pathway is generally on social entrepreneurship, basically, because pushing. So I did French at IT, and these two have brought me to a place where I can explore how technology and education can intersect. Again, also how to bring in wellness, because the moment I started my fellowship, I started realizing gaps within the society, within the education sector, and one of the things that stood out for me was wellness, and I really wanted to work on that. So throughout the fellowship journey, I managed to innovate and to do a lot of things, but the one that eventually stuck with me was wellness, and I explored wellness through various channels, wellness through language, through language acquisition and culture. I explored wellness through tech, creating tech tools for educators, finding ways to bring in like a tech-driven educator wellness platform, and just to help people to get to know themselves and to bring out the fire that's burning within them that they are maybe trying to hold back or they haven't realized yet. So through it, I started small. I received valuable feedback from my coaches, because you never walk alone, from fellows, from the school administration. And this sparked my curiosity towards even bringing more impact. And eventually in my alumnihood, I am doing it on a global scale level, where I joined Teach for All, and I'm currently it's like preaching the gospel of wellness and education and taking care of ourselves. So basically, I chose social entrepreneurship, and this is what I'm doing currently. I am also continuing with some of the projects that I did on social entrepreneurship, like learning, like mentoring and engaging kids through language learning and culture, and we are doing it through French and the meeting Francophone countries and the Anglophone and bringing everyone together. So it's quite a wide area. You can't really like put it on a explain it in a few minutes, but any pathway that you choose, they are all intertwined. You do social entrepreneurship, and somewhere along the way you'll meet with policy and guidance. Somewhere along the way you'll have to deal with the school systems if you're going to be in education. Sometimes you'll have to deal with the private sector, especially when you're maybe trying to mobilize resources and all these things. And you can't put away the multinationals, because either way you have to go global. So I can say my main one is social entrepreneurship, but they're all intertwined and they are all putting us towards growing and through collaboration. So you get to dip your foot in various areas. Thank you so much, Perpetual.
Thank you so much, Sharon Conway, for sharing that. As you can hear, there's a lot of opportunity with being an alumni. You have so many pathways you could take. There's so many spaces for collaboration, networking. You've also had Sharon mention Teach for All, which is our global network, where our alumni also do get opportunities to work with Teach for All and to collaborate with them. So there's a lot to do as alumni with Teach for Kenya. We don't just abandon you after the 2 years. We give you opportunities for development. We support your ideas. You have freedom to come in with ideas. So it's really an encouraging space. And thank you so much, Sharon, for sharing. Before we continue, I'd like to highlight, I have seen a question on applications. So we are sending emails on a rolling basis. So some people have already received their emails on the next step of the application, but others have not. So let's be patient. The application process is ongoing. So if you haven't received an email yet, just be patient. It's going on a rolling basis, right? So the process is still ongoing, okay? Okay, I have seen people sharing the pathways that resonate most with them. I'm seeing a lot of social entrepreneurship. I'm seeing a lot of schooling systems, policy advocacy. So you can see we have the right audience today, because these are the pathways that guide our alumni network. And these are the leaders that we've created from our schools as fellows. And now they are doing this outside of the school, some within the systems. As you had, for example, Dennis graduated as a fellow, but now he's an actual teacher in a school, right? And your son Sharon is working on wellness projects and is being supported. So there's a lot of opportunity. Please, let's give them flowers for what they've shared so far. Before we move to the next question, let me see flowers. Thank you so much. The next question I'd like to know is, so you've chosen your pathways, there's all this, you're doing your projects, you've shared on collaborations, on mentorship, right? So how would you say that has shaped your personal career journey? Because when you applied to become a fellow, you had a career plan probably, right? And so you've done the fellowship, you've chosen a pathway, you're doing your project. How would you say that is shaping your career journey? Has it redirected your career? Has it added to the career you wanted? Has it kind of, opened it up? How would you say that has shaped? You can start with Dennis, and then we follow with Sharon.
So thank you. As I said, I am a teacher at Voluntary Academy. How this has shaped my career, I was absorbed at Voluntary Academy after the fellowship, and I have been able to put in more work, credible work, helping teachers, continuing my project that is creative imagination, helping learners even inside and outside the classroom to come up with creative activities and problem solving skills to when they are faced with challenges. I have taken this as a leadership journey throughout. I have been able to interact with fellow alumni. They have been able to help me with guidance and also areas that I can do well. I have also had a chance to interact with the Teach for All learning platforms. I have been able to learn a lot through the Teach for All platforms. And I see this an opportunity to grow professionally and even in my career. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dennis. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you so much, Perpetual. So for me, I think it has opened up my career because at first, when you're coming out of the university, after graduating, you know I'm going to get a job. This is what I'm going to do. And your life is spanned out from there. But ukikuja kwa ground, things are totally different. So coming to Teach for Kenya gave me like a renewed foundation to know where I wanted to go. And one of the things that was pivotal for me during the fellowship was what we call the Eagles Den. So the Eagles Den is like a Shark Tank that Teach for Kenya organizes for its fellows. So you come, you pitch, there are donors, there are judges, and there are all that. So I came, I pitched my project. I did I called my project was I Sustain Me. It was my educator wellness solution. So at that time, I didn't secure immediate funding, and at first it was discouraged because I was working for this. I had put all my energies on it. So for me, this was the best idea anyone could have ever come up with. Why wouldn't the judges, choose it? But the feedback I received for me was very transformational, emphasizing on co-creation, data-driven validation, and tech scaling. And I went on and I signed up for a software engineering program. I had done French and IT in school, but I had majored in French. So when I went on and did this software engineering program, since then I have redefined the platform. I started learning coding. I've developed more, and at this point, I feel like I'm also a junior developer. So this was not just a point of what am I doing here? What's the passion and this? It also gave me a moment of growth. I discovered something in me that I wouldn't have known otherwise. And I also managed to get feedback from people, real-time feedback, and you get to also validate your data. Because you can say you want to do this, you can come up with solutions, but you're bringing in solutions for people. So unless you learn to work with people, unless you actually are able to get feedback, learn from the feedback, grow yourself, and constant professional development. I think I'll give it to Teach for Kenya because one, they are big on professional development. As a fellow, every month we had a monthly professional development program where we'd meet and we'd get mentorship from different professionals in the field, and you are exposed, you get moments to network, and the kind of support that Teach for Kenya gives you, it's immense. I feel like since I joined Teach for Kenya, I started my pathway towards becoming a certain CEO or an entrepreneur or someone somewhere. And I feel in the alumnihood, this has become like this is now the time when I'm beginning. Like the fellowship was just a platform, like the foundation where you're just laying it here and there, exploring options. But now in the alumnihood, now you get to start doing the real things with the real world and actually getting to meet the real sharks out here. So the competition is if you think you have something good, but there's something better out there. So it's a constant growth, building yourself, developing yourself. So a Perpetual, what I can say is that this fellowship and everything else has just opened me up to more possibilities. Thank you.
Congratulations, Sharon. Thank you. That's great to hear. You want to hear somebody came in one way and they're leaving saying, things were expanded. They were, there are positive outcomes that come from it. So let's give Sharon her flowers, Dennis her flowers, right? I'm seeing comments saying that's a good Sharon, that's encouraging, that's a good pathway. I can see a lot of people are resonating with Sharon and Dennis's story as well. And so we hope that you'll apply successfully so that you can also one day be sharing on your alumni journey and how it's shaped your own goals. So to wrap up this session, I'm going to ask you a question about advice. So we are hosting people that want to apply or have already applied for a fellowship, right? So what pointers or advice would you give them for successful application and also how to do well in the fellowship and the alumni, maybe from the lessons that you yourself have learned? So what would you say to someone who's trying to apply or who's already applied and is hoping to interview successfully?
Go for it, but come with an open heart and learning mindset and strong sense of purpose. Understand that fellowship is not just a teaching opportunity. It is a leadership journey that you face real challenges in classroom and around the communities that you be. And those challenges are what going to shape you into a leader and a change maker. Yes.
And thank you so much, Dennis. Sharon?
Well, the first thing is to put yourself out there, send in that application. If you are a procrastinator like me, please send it. Don't wait for the last day. Send it. And if you have sent it, I can say like 4 main points. Number one, be mission driven. If you're passionate about making a difference, the fellowship will definitely refine your leadership skills and resilience like no other experience that you'll ever get. Number two, be ready to learn and unlearn. Learning. Growth comes from vulnerability and openness. Number three, leverage every opportunity. Exposure, networks, personal development spaces are abundant in Teach for Kenya or in every space that you're in. Tap into them intentionally. And then lastly, I think I'd tell people to think beyond the classroom. Like Dennis has said, Teach for Kenya is not just a teaching fellowship. The skills you'll develop will position you for leadership roles across sectors. I mean, apart from education, you have business, technology, and many more. So ultimately, the fellowship is just like a launch pad where like what you build during the fellowship, what you come in with will build you after. So it's up to you. It's just your mindset. I mean, Teach for Kenya is there up for grabs. Please send in that application. Thank you for patience.
Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you so much, Dennis. Let's appreciate them for the attendance panel. I hope you've learned a lot from their stories. I hope their stories resonate with you. I hope they encourage you to apply if you've not already applied. Yeah, I'm seeing flowers, I'm seeing claps, I'm seeing love hearts. Also in the chat box, share what you've learned from this panel discussion from Sharon and Dennis. Whether it's something that you've learned or something that have resonated with you. If you have a question for them, also put it in the chat box and it will be addressed in the Q&A session coming in after. Thank you. Let's see more flowers. Also for you all for sticking around, listening to the panel, engaging. I'm seeing a lot of comments, seeing a lot of responses, and we're so happy that you find this content very engaging and educating. So just to highlight a few things, thank you so much, Sharon and Dennis. So if you have questions for Sharon and Dennis, please put it in the chat box and they will be tackling it in the Q&A question. And just to highlight, the applications for the 2026-2027 fellowship are ongoing. You can visit our website to apply, but we also have a link being shared in the chat box by Calvin Says and my other colleagues. If you have already applied, you don't need to apply again. So the link is for those who've not applied yet. So if you've applied, you don't need to do a second application. A second thing is emails are coming in on a rolling basis. So if you applied and you've not gotten an email, be patient, it's coming in. I've seen a question on feedback on essays. We have not closed applications yet, so that will come after, right? So it's again on a rolling basis. So once we've sent out all the essay applications, we've reviewed them, you receive an email from us, right? So if you've not applied, please apply. If you know friends that this opportunity could be great for, please share the links with them, redirect them to our website. Well, right? Okay, so So application will be closing on 16th of May, the coming month, okay? So we are closing applications in May on 16th. So as Sharon said, if you're a procrastinator, this is your call to action. Please apply. Apply now. Don't wait until it's too late. Apply now. So thank you so much for listening to me. We're now going to be moving on to the Q&A session. I'll be calling in Anthony, the head of recruitment, selection, and matriculation, to tackle the Q&A session. So any questions that you have that have not been answered by my colleagues on the chat box, please put it again, and Anthony will be addressing it shortly. So thank you so much for joining us as well again. And I'm going to now pass it on to Anthony. Anthony, if you can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thanks, Perpetual, for facilitating that session. Can also Perpetual have flowers? Thanks for enabling the alumni to be able to share their wonderful stories. And I think everybody who is now interested in joining Teach for Kenya, you're not just thinking about the 2-year fellowship. You're not just thinking about the 2-year fellowship. You're going to be with us. Let me share my video. Yes, but you have to think long term. Like after you've been with Teach for Kenya for 2 years, what are you going to do beyond the 2 years to continue the conversation around education equity to all Kenyan children? I think that's the conversation Sharon and Dennis were really keen to be able to open your minds. And if you have already received the feedback emails, you already have been asked a question around that. Like, we want to see if you understand the pathways. So it's such a good thing that you can be able to connect the conversation you're having, even as you prepare to do your essays, because you want to also understand, given the 4 essays that Eric had shared a bit earlier, like when you're coming to the fellowship, you're really clear about the kind of impact you want to be able to drive even after you've left the classroom or the school. So that was really wonderful. And thanks, guys, for really participating. So there are some questions coming up, and you can continue doing your questions on the chat. You'll be receiving some real-time responses from my team. I think some of the most important that are coming up is the process. How is application process going? So at this point, I know some of you have received feedback emails. So this is going on a rolling basis. If you have not received your emails, feedback email, no cause for worry, it will still come. But just that it happens in phases, but you will still receive your feedback email. So I won't take you too quickly through how the process looks like. So you've already done, or if you have not applied, you will do the first stage, which is eligibility. So you'll fill your eligibility form. I think the link has already been sent on the chat box. From there, we'll give you a feedback email, which is to do 2 essays. So you'll do 1 essay, which is called motivation. Move us, impress us, tell us why you really feel Teach for Kenya Fellowship is a wonderful opportunity that you would want to join. So you'll do a short motivation essay, and then the next essay will be around the pathways. After we've discussed with you on this webinar about the 4 pathways, how do you think you can center yourself as you're coming to Teach for Kenya to be able to continue to escalate the impact in Teach for Kenya in any of those 4 pathways? So you will do those 2 essays. Please be really keen, think around your why, like Dennis said, why do you want to join us? So that as you're doing your essay, you make sure that you are addressing those two important questions. From there, we will do our own shortlisting from our end, and we'll now move to the 3rd stage, which is called an assessment center. This is a physical activity, so we'll invite those who will make it to the 3rd stage to come to our assessment center. They usually happen regionally, so if you're in Kisumu, you'll be invited at a place in Kisumu. If you're in Nairobi, we'll have our assessment centers in Nairobi. If you're in Wachira, we want to move to Wachira, then you'll be required to attend an assessment center in Wachira. From there, we will proceed to a 4th stage, which is going to be a small course not really a course, but a preparation module, because by this time we will be confident that you most likely will be joining us. So we'll give you something we call an FLN module. It's just a self-paced course that you're going to be reading on your own, understanding a few things about pedagogy. Most of those who have not even had an experience in teaching, this is an opportunity for you to be able to engage with that content. It's about 40 hours, but it's self-paced. You can be able to do it at your own time as long as you have a smartphone and you also have a data. You can be able to do that course. Then from there, we'll move to the second last stage, which is called community immersion. So what this looks like is we'll invite you to visit some of our schools where our fellows are placed. You'll have a day to stay there. You'll interact with the active fellows. You can ask them questions. You can see the kind of setups we work in. It's about 3 days. We'll have about 3 days of these activities ongoing in our various schools. So you don't have to travel. If you're going to be choosing to your fellowship to be in, for example, Kisumu, we'll make sure that your community immersions happen there. If you're within Nairobi, you want your community immersions to be within Nairobi. If you're in Machakos, the same, and also in Wachira, so that you can be able to make it as productive as possible. After that, that will be around October of this year. Then around November, mid-November, we'll do our community, our training, which is called a Leadership Institute. So that actually happens between mid-November to around early December. I saw somebody asking a question of, we are being placed in January, so when are we doing the training? That happens actually around mid-November to around mid-December. It's a 6 weeks training. After which, once you're done with that, then we'll give you the offer, and once you sign, you'll be ready actually for placement in your schools come January. So that's how brief the process looks like. It can get intense, but sometimes if you really have prepared yourself well, you are checking up your emails, you are getting notifications in time, and of course, our wonderful team at recruitment is always ready to help. If you have questions or concerns, you can shoot something on the recruitment email, and we'll be able to support you in case you need our support. But really, to be honest, it's a short but can get intense. So we want you to bring all your energy, all your creativity, all yourself into it, because to be honest, we are looking for 100 outstanding fellows to be able to join our next cohort next year. So we want to make sure that everybody is getting the fair shot. But like I said, for example, if you have not received your feedback email, as long as you did your eligibility form and you got you did your eligibility and you qualify, you will get that email to do your essay. The other question that was coming up is with regards to attaching. So there are some people who have already started doing their essays and they're not able to attach some pictorial evidence. They want to share with us the wonderful work they're doing already, whether that is in your communities or in your university. If that is giving you a challenge, we would recommend that you just insert a link, a hyperlink. So for example, in your essay, you can just say attach, or you can access my video or pictorial evidence of what I've been doing through this link. And in case you have challenges doing that, you can always reach out to us and we can guide you how to do it. In case you cannot be able to upload the photos. The other question we are getting is Wachira operational? So we are moving to, we are recruiting for Wachira, yes. We are moving to Wachira next year. So next year we are placing the first cohort in Wachira of about 18 fellows. So who will be like our pilot cohort in Wachira. So in case you're interested to be able to join that pilot cohort in Wachira, so please feel free to let us know that you would actually want to be placed in Wachira. I think those are the most important questions I'm saying. Any other question? Yes. But feel free, in case there is any question that is coming to you, you can type it there. Somebody will be available to respond to you. So what about those who have done the essays without supporting videos? Would recommend for you to be able to show us the amazing work you've been doing. If you have them, feel free to share. But if in case you do not have, that's still okay. So don't feel pressure about that. Kindly pardon on the 4 pathways. Eric, are you able to come up?
Anthony, are you able to see me on your side?
Please, yeah, I can.
Okay, on the 4 pathways, one of them is social entrepreneurship. Social entrepreneurship is whereby I said that you find that during the capstone projects, people come up with the innovative ideas that really impact the communities, and at the same time, it's even able to now outlive them. It's even able now to be an income generating activity for them for a small fee. So a good example of that with the social entrepreneurship is the one that I mentioned, Liz Kabau, who does the reusable pads for the school-going children. So these are projects that have been able now to even partner with other organizations so that to be able now to impact the children, the school-going children in a positive way so that at least to avoid the period poverty. And in that, you'll find that there's a number of also projects that are in the social entrepreneurship. Like now we have at Vista, who is doing at Vista is she uses art to really work with children with mental issues, and this is something that she's been able now to do even past the fellowship journey. Another pathway is school systems. The school system is whereby, as you heard, that most of these people, when they're joining the fellowship, they really don't have the interest in impacting the school in terms of now the education sector. So you find that after now they've joined the fellowship, the 2-year fellowship, and now they transition into the alumni, which is a long theory of change, whereby now we developing collective leadership to address those systemic challenges in the education sector that hinders quality education for the children. So in this long theory of change, you find that these people during the fellowship journey, they've been able now to see their calling in the education sector. And we are speaking right now, out of the 64 alumni, over 30 of them have been able now to go back to the school system and even able now to be more transformative in terms of now continuing their projects. Some have been absorbed to the schools that they were in, and others now have joined the TSC, others have gone to other schools to continue to impact and to try to address the systemic challenge that we have in the education sector. The third pathway that we have is the policy and governance. You find that these fellows, in the schools that they are where they fellow or where they are placed, you find that it's not like the normal private schools that they have all the facilities. Those schools are underserved. So you find that these people are able now to interact one-on-one challenge, what is the challenge that is facing the children, which hinders them achieving what they aspire to achieve in future. As you know, education is the only equalizer that we have as a country. So you find that these people, when they're able now to sit in the policy space can be in the Ministry of Education, in the curriculum development, KICD, Kenya Institute of Curricular Development, in NGOs that deal with policy in the education sector. So they're able now to bring the challenges, they're able now to bring the transformative ideas that they had into now the policy space. And these are, because they are interacted one-on-one with the challenges that these school-going children are facing. The fourth one is private sector and multinationals. You find that after the fellowship journey, some of them join the private sector, some goes to multinational companies. And so even during that employment opportunity that they're able to get, they're able still to impact back, come back to the society, and be able now to address some of the challenges that they are able now to see that are going on in the society. So in the we have 4 pathways, that is policy and governance, school system, private sector and multinational, and social entrepreneurship. Thank you, and back to you, Anton. Thank you. Thank you. Back to you, Anthony.
Mawasa, thanks for clarifying those 4 pathways. Great. So I really think, yeah, when is the deadline for application? applications continue to trickle in. If you have not applied, you still have an opportunity to do that. So please apply. Don't wait for the last minute. Just apply. Yeah, it doesn't matter that you are in the 4 counties that you are operating. Please apply, even if you are not in those 4 counties. That's still okay. We would be happy to receive your applications from wherever you are in the country. Yeah, even if you had applied before, in the last recruitment cycles, you are free to also apply again. That's still possible. Good, so keep your questions coming. Engage with us on our social media handles. You can channel them also in our recruitment in case you need specific support. And we'll be happy to be able to support you to answer some of those questions. So I want to really hope that everybody who is on this call has made their first stage of application. If you have not done, the application link has been pasted, and I think Calvin can reshare it even as we close the webinar so that you can be able to do your application. It has already been reshared, so you can make your applications. I want to take this back to Perpetual, and thanks everybody for really engaging and being a wonderful audience for this webinar. Perpetual.
Thank you so much, Anthony, for that. And thank you everyone for joining the webinar and sticking around throughout the webinar. We really appreciate that. If you have any questions that have not been addressed or questions that have just come up now, you could contact us via our official email, and there will be someone will get back to you in due time. Otherwise, thank you so much for attending. Flowers for everyone, flowers for yourselves, flowers for the panelists, flowers for me. Let me see flowers. So again, thank you so much for joining. If you have any questions, email us, somebody will get back to you. We also have quite a lot of information on the application process on our socials. So if you look at our LinkedIn, look at our Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, there's quite a lot of information on the questions you might have. So especially for the application process. So feel free to visit any of our social media sites, tell your friends about the application process. Do it now, don't wait for a last minute. So that you can receive your feedback. It's on a rolling basis. So some of us have already received their prompts for the essays, and some of us, it's coming. So just keep applying, share with your friends, check us out on our social media platforms, and send your questions to our email. Thank you so much for attending, and I'm going to put the session to a close at this point. Please have a good afternoon, and we are looking forward to reviewing your applications. Also, we have our webinar on 6th May. Purpose to attend, it will be our last webinar for this series. And so, again, any questions that will be coming up at that point will be addressed during that session. Please apply, apply, apply. Don't be left out. It's a great opportunity for everyone. Thank you so much, and do have a good afternoon or evening or morning, depending on where you're joining us from. Goodbye.